episode of Daily Dose. And as promised, I have been going live every day. We started 4 days ago. That's the reason why today's episode is the fourth episode. And I plan to do it every day for weekdays and perhaps sometimes on the weekend. Thank you so much for all the warm messages, the questions, and the encouragement. It's not very easy to go live every day, but I'm making this commitment because somebody told me before that you need to be in the scene. You need to be on the Times Square, the city center, so to speak, if you want to achieve something. And I know that there's a lot of fitness influencers out there, wellness influencers out there, and some of them are really good, but some of them are also pushing some trend or hypes that are not necessarily grounded in science. So I want to be a scientist that also can communicate scientific breakthrough news, especially when it comes to our health and wellness. Good morning, Mitchell. If you don't know Mitchell, you have to go and check out his page. You have to make sure that you're not in bed scrolling through his content because it makes you really hungry. He is such a great cook. Also a great person, which probably, I will probably see him next month in Chicago. Anyway, today's episode, I want to talk about something that is so, I don't know, groundbreaking because the modern medicine has figured out a way to make sure that we can be the healthiest that we can achieve. We can be the healthiest version and the happiest version of ourselves. And one of the things that science has sort of kind of discovered is that your nose might be able to detect Alzheimer's disease years before your first symptom. This is not a joke. This is a serious piece of information that the science has just been reported this week that losing your sense of smell could be an early detection or warning or indication that you might be developing uh, Alzheimer's disease. Scientists found that immune cells in the brain actively destroy smell related nerve fibers after detecting abnormal signals on their surfaces. And this damage begins years before any cognitive symptoms appear, which is really good. We always talk on this program, we always talk on my Substack at Ask Dr Vincent that when it comes to disease, disorder, or health issues, the earlier you detect the issue, the higher the chance of not only survival, but also recovery. So the prognosis is usually a lot more encouraging and positive when you detect the issue earlier rather than later. This is a genuinely fascinating piece of information because a lot of people don't think a lot about our nose and our sense of smell, but it makes up for so much of what we or how we interact with the outside world. We only often associate the sense of taste and flavor with our mouth. However, more than half of what we perceive as flavor actually comes from our sense of smell, from our nose. And this is also the reason why, say, for example, if you're flying, some people really hate plain foods because they find it bland, they find it just one dimensional and flat. And that is not because of the low quality. I really do think that a lot goes into preparing in-flight meals. However, it may have to do with your sense of smell because up up there in the air on 33,000 feet, the pressure as well as the temperature and humidity level of the cabin air is not very optimal and conducive for your sense of smell to pick up all of these flavors. But going back to this piece of information, if you or someone that you know has been losing sense of smell, maybe flag it to your doctor, to your GP, because this trivial thing that you notice, this trivial change that you notice may eventually save your life. Has anyone close to you experienced the unexplained smell loss? And I do know that a few people told me that they have had this post COVID, and I do believe that this is something that is very important to mention to your health practitioner. If you go to naturopath, if you go to nutritionist, if you go to your GP, they are there to help us navigate through our health issues. And I know that you've heard me saying this before, that the best form of treatment is prevention. Wow, we have a lot of great people watching today. Glow Up Comfort, he's a friend. If you want the best and funniest content about skincare, you need to follow him. Story number two. Did you know that the exact number of fruit and vegetable servings that cuts your risk of aging? Uh, Scientists actually do this study and calculation. I think in Australia, the sweet spot is 5 serves of vegetable a day and 2 servings of fruit. And I think in the US, it's 3 servings of vegetables per day and 2 servings of uh, fruit. And this massive study that involved nearly 2 million adults found that eating this amount of fruit and vegetables actually lower your chance of dying from diseases by 13%. So let me put it in the better way. So it means that you are going to extend your life, like, because longevity is a thing, right? By 13% just by eating your greens, your fruit and vegetables. And unfortunately, the average American and Australian eat just 30% of what they are supposed to eat when it comes to the number of servings of fruit and vegetables. And not all produce counts the same either. Starchy vegetables like peas, corns, potatoes, and fruit juices are not actually part of the group that make up fruit and vegetable that will promote your longevity, because obviously with fruit juices we're concerned with the sugar, and with potato, sweet potato, maybe not so much sweet potato, but the starchy part of the vegetable usually is the root vegetables or tubers. They are higher in the simple carbs that can contribute to spiking your blood sugar level. Uh, well, if you since we are friends, we should be honest with each other. How many serves of vegetables and fruit that you have on average every day? Because I know that sometimes it's really hard to be really good when you're out there. I'm one of those people that I'm not paying the same amount of you know uh the same dollar amount for a stir fried broccoli when I can actually get meat when I eat outside. So I tend to not order a lot of greens when I eat out. However, every day I have salad for lunch, I have salad for my dinner, sometimes steamed vegetables or stir fry. This is something that is really easy. And my tips is that you if you do your grocery shopping weekly, you can actually cut up everything and prepare it, portion it, put in a container, so that on the day when you want to cook it, you don't have to do all of this prep. And I really do think that that helps you you know to lower the barrier of and increases your likelihood to actually cook vegetables during the week. Okay, since we're talking about longevity, tech billionaires are spending millions to live forever. However, I do believe that you don't have to be wealthy to be healthy. I firmly believe that, and I know you know that. But the other side of it is that sometimes we get so fascinated with all of this new treatment, new prevention, new technology that help us be healthier, that help us look better, so they claim. But in majority of the cases, longevity starts from what you do every day. there are so many diets and types of diets all over the world, right? But there are two types of diets that have been consistently producing the longest living humans in the world: the Japanese diet and the Mediterranean diet. And they have nothing in common when it comes to what they eat and how they eat and how they prepare the food. But one thing in common that they have is that these two types of diets, the Mediterranean diet and Japanese diet, are majority freshly prepared food and very, very little processed or ultra processed food. And I do think that this is the key to longevity. You are literally what you eat. And I always say that it is so hard to be healthy 100% of the time. But if you just aim for the 80%, 80% of the time, 80% that you eat are freshly prepared. Make sure that you cut down on ultra processed food, especially things that you eat every day. If you eat bread, for example, just turn it around, read the ingredient list. If it contains more than 5 ingredients, that's not bread. Like, you only need flour, water, yeast, a pinch of salt in my recipe. You can go to askdrvincent.com to find this slow rising, slow fermentation, no knead bread. It's so easy. You can prepare the night before. It only takes 1 hour in the oven. You don't have to buy fancy, you know, stone bake equipment or bread making machine. You only need to be consistent, because when it comes to our health, consistent beats perfection. You don't need literally $50,000, a bodysuit or hyperbaric chamber and stuff like that. Usually, people who live longer and happier are those who incorporate happy, healthy habits in their daily lives. And if you're parents, I think it is extremely important, if you can, as much as possible, to do this. Build a habit, build a healthy habit, because when your children grow up, they will practice what they have been experienced, what they watch their parents are doing. So you're not only doing this for yourself, but you're also teaching the next generation to be healthy, because studies have shown that when parents are healthy, or living a healthier lifestyle, their children and the children of their children will have a higher chance of being healthy and happy. That's basically it. I also want to make sure that you follow me on Substack. It's askdrvincent.com. You can follow me here on TikTok and on YouTube. And wish me luck. Hopefully tomorrow I will say good day to you again for our next episode of Daily Dose. Until then, I'm Dr. Vincent. Thank you so much for tuning in for your daily dose of health and wellness news. See you. Bye bye.